shit. Which I will never give her a single penny. I swear to God, I already know like Title 4D is a contract, and I have not signed a single piece of paper from them whatsoever in any fashion. Like I have never signed a document, and
I don't disagree.
I never will.
That. I actually, if a man can't see his kids, he shouldn't pay child support. I don't care.
I damn sure ain't.
I agree with that.
I was taking care of them just damn fine.
Court system is set up, and this goes back to where I was saying before, where I think it's really truly the mother that had all the rights at not signing things off with the birth certificate and how they're considered the informant, because the family law system is set up to put the mother ahead of the father. And that, unfortunately, is the way it is in most court cases across the land.
Now I'm determined to defy the odds.
Well, I don't blame you. Or you need to learn the W-4 process to handle your child support.
Yeah, that's simple enough. You can do the W-4 simply enough. You just have to stay really focused and just focus on like one portion of it at a time, and don't expect to get complete control of your estate. Be really practical right now. Just think like, oh, can I hire this lady, or can I hire someone like her? And have them advise you from the back to keep you focused. And you take your evidence and you collect it and you do it all, pro se, because if you really haven't, there should be no reason why you don't have visitation with your kids. There's, I went through court when I was 5 years old. Okay. And, the second I was taken and brought to a shelter, I had the police at that women's shelter banging on the door. My father was bringing the police to the women's shelter. He wasn't letting that situation down. He wanted to make sure he felt the kids were taken. And then I was having to go to court regularly. So you have to consider, what are you going to do to your kids? Are you going to put them through court regularly? You have to think about all this, right? And the process that you're going to have to go through administratively to get some rights back, because your rights have been taken. If you're going to think about all this other stuff, get $1,000, $1,500 and buy some, purchase Robert Michael's trust or someone's trust to put them in a trust or something. Like, I really don't know if you're going to be able to figure that out. The longer they're away from you, I mean, you gotta get some help, man. You're not going to be able to do this all yourself. I can tell. I spent 2 years in Alphonse's thing, and I've heard this story over and over and over.
How long has it been that your rights were terminated?
They've not been terminated. She's got custody, and she's keeping the kids from it.
Well, then that gives you a little bit more groundway, because if your rights have not been legally terminated in the court process, because you would have to wait 2 years to even apply to petition the court again. So if they haven't been terminated.
The problem, I think, is there's a bunch of things he's done that has hurt him. And that's called throwing things at the wall to see what sticks, listening to a lot of people that said, file this paper, do this template, and he did it. And
without knowing the background.
Without knowing anything. And the judge and everybody's looking at him like he's crazy, because honestly, those people are that tell him to do that stuff.
And unfortunately, that's where a lot of fathers go wrong. But I understand they're doing it out of stress and they're doing it out of frustration. But it just piles on more shit that you've got to go through to uncover it to get back to where you should be.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm trying to say is my father was extremely, extremely mentally ill, right? And had some issues. And he got visitation rights with us. They weren't good rights. It was like a supervised visitation, et cetera, et cetera. And I think it put him through a lot of hell. And I think he was damaged. By the time I was, 16 and living on my own, I had to do a lot of work to get him to calm down. And so I have a lot of empathy for you, but I'm trying to tell you that, you definitely, you're not like my father, number one, and it's not like you would accidentally hurt the kid because you can't control your physical and behavioral and mental behavior. So if that's not the case, you still have a chance in court to get, at least part-time visitation or something. Okay. So, but what I am trying to tell you is I've seen it on the other end of it, and I want you to not have to go through that. I want your kids not to have to go through what I went through, right? Because they're going to be like empathic and they're going to start to take on all your suffering if you make this like a long, like crazy situation. I'm sure you're not like him, right? But I see my friend go through this, and I just hope that you can get someone like this woman, if not her, someone like her who can, really help you just do this exactly the way you need to do it. Because, he could write a letter of affidavit saying, to the court, or the judge privately, I made some mistakes. This has happened with my kids. I listened to the, wrong advice. Please excuse any prior communications. You can always correct that. I made mistakes. We all make mistakes. Please forgive me.
Yeah,
I mean,
so
I'm just
mistakes
Oh,
in law.
oh,
Mistakes. You should look that word up in Black's Law Dictionary.
yeah.
Mistakes can be forgiven and gotten rid of.
But all the affidavits in the world aren't going to matter unless you've got something to back them up with. So you've got
That's
to have a
right.
starting point. And I would suggest your starting point would be to get rid of the child support first. And then, depending on your case and what the circumstances were that led them to do what they did without giving you the visitation, you can always petition for the supervised visitation, and that would be the secondary starting point. But first, they're going to want to see that you're able to prove that you're fit. And
Well,
part of that is financially.
their denial of due process, the administrator himself explicitly said that I had no right to a trial by jury. And it is in the rules of evidence that I do. It's in the rules of evidence that I had to petition for it, and her counsel actually petitioned to put it on the non-jury docket. Why would they have to petition to put it on the non-jury docket if I didn't have a right to have a jury docket in the first place? Which he explicitly said that I don't have that right.
Did he put that in writing?
It's on the oral record. I swear to God he said it.
I'm not saying he didn't. One, you got to have transcripts to prove it. Two,
I've got a USB.
He's got to reduce it to writing for it to be an order. And if he put that in an order, guess what? You have the right to appeal that decision. It's called an interlocutory appeal.
Yep.
And guess what? Every single decision he made, what did you not do?
I objected.
Yeah, but you didn't. One, after you verbally objected, you should have went home and wrote your objection with your citations and rules and procedures and whatever that would back the objection, because you have to write it down also. And then if he rules against you on the objection, you do an interlocutory appeal on that order, that single order. You didn't do any of that. That's why I'm telling you, you're not ready. There's a lot you've got to do. And I tell people this all the time, especially in family court stuff, or any court case, if the judge rules against you and you are in the right, you appeal that order.
And that's what I'm working
If you
on.
don't, how many days has it been since the order was done?
It's been a little over a month.
You only have 30 days.
You're past your time limit there.
Well, I think the case is still open, at least for regarding custody, because he did inform me of my right to file for a trial de novo, but I do not intend to go in front of that administrator anymore. I intend to change the venue to state jurisdiction, not just district. But
it is state jurisdiction at the district
or federal. Hell, I'll walk right up and out.
They're not gonna change the jurisdiction in family law. It's gonna be wherever the children reside, no matter what. So that's not gonna help you.
Yeah, see,
I'm going to camp right outside of the Supreme Court of this franchise. Be there whenever they first open the doors.
All the Supreme Court is going to do is say you haven't exhausted your administrative remedies. You said, I'm not going into this in front of this administrative people. Well, then you're already shooting yourself in the foot.
The courts are going to be willing to give you visitation as long as they can't prove that you're unfit. I mean, that part's not going to be hard to do. Family court will always try to encourage and create that connection with the children with their biological parents.
Well, that depends.
Yeah. But in most cases, as long as there's not any question of being unfit that has to be proven, they'll be willing to do that.
Yeah. See, you're sitting there telling us everything you don't want to do, and everything you say you don't want to do is really what you need to do.
I'm learning.
I know you're learning. Been there, done that, bought a t-shirt. I can tell you that.
So the way everything's going, like shit is really about to hit the fan. So,
but why?
What
makes it? What makes you say that?
No, I'm just talking about like society, like the food crisis that's about to be here. Like empty shelves are gonna start being prevalent.
You're not joking. I know that. I'm in the trucking industry. I can tell you now what I see.
Yeah, like society is gonna be up in an upheaval, which it needs to be, and at that point. I don't think many, instruments of the government are going to be.
I don't agree with you when you say it needs to be, because do you not realize the amount of harm that is going to come to your family, possibly? You know, it is a proven fact that in as little as 15 days of starvation, society has broken down so much that people are starting to go into cannibalism. That is a proven fact. What's coming to this country is the judgment of God. That is true. But do I wish it would come? Do I wish it would happen? No. I wish this nation would repent, because why? The people are not ready for what's coming. You think it's hard now because you don't have your kids and you are fighting to try to get them? You are not ready for what's coming. The Bible calls it the Great Tribulation. A time like that has never happened in this world and will never happen again. Nazi Germany was just a hint of what is to come, where governments are going to start lining people up and killing them. And you think we're not going to fall to that? We are the ones, our own people are the ones supporting the Nazis. The Bush family funded Hitler to get him to power.
I know. I hate to share the last name.
I mean, shoot.
My dad used to be so proud of it.
Yeah, go look at Ukraine. What is Russia fighting? Against the Nazis. Who are we giving weapons and funding? The Nazis in Ukraine.
Oh no! Like I used to be the biggest World War II fan, but well, even your angle about that, like I'm not entirely sure. The way that, because the victors write the history, and
yeah,
we know
can't hide the truth. They can only write the history they want published and have their media outlets tell you what they want to hear, but they want you to hear. But the truth cannot remain hidden. The truth will always come out. Why do you think it's protected by so many lies?
Yep.
You're gonna be all right, Double O. I mean, look at that's beautiful. This woman was a paralegal in family law, and she just gave you some really good advice.
Yeah.
I mean, I really think that's I think it's amazing that, if you could just write that down and really, I think that's so cool that she was in here and spoke up,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Iona, you can call me D.
I'm sorry. I see my computer, and you know what I see? I'm seeing a tiny little thing, a tiny little part of Telegram, and the rest of my computer is this tiny little screen. So that's why I could barely I see it. Sorry, sorry about that. D.
That's all right.
Yeah.
It's good to know you're a paralegal.
Not anymore. I mean, I'm retired and disabled now, but I was 20 years ago. Well, I'm in my 50s.
Yeah, see, I do respect people in the legal industry. A lot of the patriots mythology out there is they hate every attorney because they're bar members and all those people in that system. I actually get the most respect from some of those people. Because why? They tell me the way I explain things, I make it make sense. I had an attorney in California that went to YouTube, looked at what people says about the birth certificate, the social, et cetera, et cetera. I spent 2 hours on the phone with Patrick, and he's out in California. He told me when I was done, he said, you're the first person that actually makes it make sense.
I think there's good and bad on attorneys, so
absolutely.
I've worked with plenty of them where we're not, not good at all.
Some of them are not. That is absolutely right. Some of them don't want to be in the bar, but they want to do the best they can with what they have to work with.
The reason I say that is because it is family law. I wouldn't even like tell people to go to court, but because I see so much with the custody stuff, it's just a nightmare, you know? Like, I'm not, you know what I mean? I'm not trying to give you like a double-minded, like cognitive dissonance. I just feel for you, you know, and I want you to be able to have the kids with you. That's all, in the soonest possible way, you know?
Oh, I don't disagree with you, Iona. I mean, look, I spent 7 years fighting family court, and I used to say the same things that he says. It's corruption. It's this, that, and the other. And honestly, the judge in that case, I'll tell you now, do I like him? No, I don't. Don't care for him at all. But I respect him now. Why? Because after learning what I've learned over the years, I made a lot of discoveries as to why he did and ruled the way he did on a lot of things. And it was like, it started to make a lot more sense. And then when I finally come to the realization, whose fault is it that ultimately as to why we're getting treated the way we're getting treated? Ultimately, it's our fault.
And once you get the kids back and you have that right established with them still in your life, right? Then you worry about changing, like, you know what I mean? Then you have some pull on actually, you know, changing your estate around and putting them in trust and, you know, all that other stuff. And with the W-4, you can knock out the child support. So don't worry about that. Just know in the back of your head, you got that ace. You have that ace card in your pocket, right? So, like, that's really simple. That can be done really easily, you know?
Yeah.
So you got this. Like, it's not as big as it seems. Like, it's just a matter of administrative paperwork, and you may have to, like, hire someone on the side, not a lawyer necessarily, but someone on the side to help you with the administrative paperwork, because unless you're going to sit down there and take Jurisdictionary for $100 and figure it out, you know, you might want to just brush through it really fast and pay someone.
Hey, I'm going to tell you now, that Jurisdictionary, the guy that wrote Jurisdictionary,
Dr. Graves.
Great guy. His class on how to win in court, $250. It'll be the best $250 you can spend.
And I know for a fact, if you don't have the money and you go to him and ask for it, you know, he may give it to you. And that's just, I'm saying that not for people to take advantage of that. I'm saying that because that he may, if you don't have the money. But what I'm trying to tell you is with the way your mind's working right now, I don't think that maybe you're more capable than me, but I couldn't master it. I had it for 6 months, and I even had a study group, and you know, I couldn't follow through with it. So I'm just saying, like, you might want to help pay someone if you're really stressed out and your head is as scrambled as it is because of the stress. You're in PTSD.
Yeah, if you were to spend the money and buy his class and you completed it, he does give you an honorary JD, Juris Doctorate. I'll tell you now, if you would be so much more better prepared and learn how to fight them. By the end of that class, you'd be a different person.
What's his name again?
I can give you my referral link. I'll find it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I've seen like his short videos on YouTube, but
you know,
they're not very in depth.
You're not going to see his videos on YouTube. His classes you can't even download them. You do everything through the browser. He was a bar member, and he got so fed up with the system, he developed this class to teach the people the procedures and how to do things in court. And honestly, he's right. You got to know that stuff.
Administrative law, like I've heard of. It's hard to find Kenneth Culp Davis. Like he's like the master of administrative law. But hard to get your hand on his work.
Well, this guy was a bar member for 10 years. And again, he got so fed up with the system, he left and started classes to teach the people how to beat them in court.
Yep. Definitely interested. But nobody knows his name though, or like I forgot. I thought
she said she was going to send you the referral link for how to win in court.
Dr. Graves. It's Dr. Graves. It's jurisdiction, and it goes through, what you need to know, go through it, and then there's even a Google search in there so that you can use that Google search. But I mean, if you know someone else that has a subscription to Westlaw or something like that, that can help. But like, you can hit up my friend Steve. He went through the course, and that's why I'm like not even sure. Like, he's really smart. I don't even know even with doing it, I don't know. Like, depends on how emotionally distraught you are. Like, I don't know. I mean,
I think I'm good. Like, I should be emotionally distraught, like given what's happened. But look, I mean, the Holy Spirit has given me confidence that I will ultimately be victorious. So
that doesn't make me feel confident about your ability to go through administrative. That doesn't make me feel confident with the court when you say that, like, at all. I will be victorious. That it doesn't. It's not matching. Like. I don't know how to say this without.
Just say it. If it's the truth, it's the truth.
What you're saying sounds like it doesn't match what's going on, because you will be victorious if you know exactly what. Like, let's say you know how to play chess, and you've been playing it for 10 years, and you're really good at it. Yeah, maybe. I could feel that when someone says that, but when you're saying that, I feel a lack of confidence and a powerlessness.
Yeah. She's not wrong.
You got to understand, this just happened 30 days ago, so he's still in the midst of it. He needs time to decompress.
That's why I was thinking maybe he could hire someone like you, not you, but, if you wanted to, but I'm not sure, someone that could help him to get, like, time of the essence, fast. Like, the court works with time and getting those in, because you're going to have to sit in between each thing that you file and wait. So every time you file something, you're going to have to sit there and wait, and then you're going to have to come back with something else. It's going to be a long process.
It is a long process. She ain't lying. She's right. I mean, and it's...
You've got to think of it as the long-term goal, not quick and easy, because it's not going to be quick and it's not going to be easy.
I've literally been doing nothing else day and night, day in, day out for the last 5 months.
That would be part of the problem. You need to take a break and take a breather and regain yourself.
And she ain't lying there. You will get burned out when your cup is full, your cup being your brain. Okay, when I first started researching, not just law, just researching in general. When I first started, I would study, I would listen, I would research, and I would do it day in and day out. And I would get to the point where I couldn't handle the information no more. Okay, I would take 2 or 3 days. And I would listen to music. I would do something else other than research. Because your brain is like a muscle. You have to build your tolerance. But I worked my tolerance up to where I could study and research and listen to other experts a month at a time, every day on the road. But even then, I would still have to take a break. And because if you're not taking a break to give you time to digest what you're learning, you're not learning anything. Your
It's,
cup is overflowing.
yeah, it's more of the cup overflowing part. You can't absorb the things that you need to learn if you've got your cup already full with the stuff you were cramming in it. It's just going to water down and water out.
Yeah.
And if you believe in a higher power, which I do, you've got to give that space of the energy to be able to bring back to you what you're wanting as well. So you can't just constantly 24/7 be concentrating on one thing, because it's never going to happen, because you ain't given room to breathe.
That's right.
I get y'all's point.
Yeah. And I know you don't necessarily like it because it's your babies involved. Trust me. I know. I get it. But what's going to happen is if you don't change the way you're doing things, men are capable of having nervous breakdowns. And what's going to happen is you are going to push yourself to the point to where your body is going to tell you no more, and you're done. You'll be in a nut house.
No, I've been on that cliff's edge several times already.
Well, that's your thing right there. Then, if you know you've been on that edge, you know you need to take a step back.
Yeah, shut off Telegram for at least 3 days. Take a break. Go walking. Digest what you've been learning. Get away from it. And then come back where you're refreshed. Come back so you can talk to credible people like Dee or me if I'm on, and take notes and start doing what we suggest. Because if you're not going to do what we're suggesting to benefit you, you're also shooting yourself in the foot. This is not a short-term process. I told my wife when our case started, I said, honey, you got to be in this for the long haul. And I'll tell you the honest truth. My wife thought about giving up and leaving me many times. She'll tell you that. But she stuck it out. And yeah, it was stressful. It was rough. It created a lot of problems. At times there was animosity. But guess what? We had to be in it for the long haul.
How old are you?
I'm 21
Oh,
plus shipping and handling.
I'm sorry.
I'm 33.
Now, how old are your kids? Not you.
Oh, my daughter is 5 years old. Her birthday is 2 days before mine. Junior just turned 3 on Father's Day, which I just missed, and my youngest is 9 months.
Okay, so they're still youngins. They're still babies. This isn't something that's got to be done immediately. They're going to be in your lives for, forever. They're your kids. So take the time that you need for you right now so that you can be the father that they need you to be.
Yeah. Quit trying to rush it. Quit trying to handle things now. Take your time. When the time comes that you're ready, then you're going to start having success.
See, that's I don't know why I come off like I'm down and out, or like I don't have the confidence that I honestly feel like I do, because
You're
Like
not coming off as that you don't have the confidence. You're coming off as overconfident, which leads to a lot of errors.
That's right.
it's like,
And
even though it gets to me sometimes, like I know this is going to turn into, a blessing. It's going to be one of the best things that ever happened whenever I do finally gain control of my estate and
yeah, you're right.
everything was wrong.
But you're a long ways from it. You're a long ways from that. I've been studying for 10 years. 10 years this year. It's now over 10 years, but not by much. Okay. Do you really think in 5 months you know enough?
I don't necessarily say that. I think I do have a very good understanding of the whole process. It's just
No,
the
you
way
don't.
of going about it.
You don't. Trust me, if it wouldn't be the problem of going about it if you understood the process. Because the understanding brings the results you're trying to bring on paper.
I didn't say a complete understanding, a decent.
You don't even have a decent. You didn't even know about an interlocutory appeal, that you have the right to appeal every single order the judge made as they are made. I didn't either when I first started fighting. I didn't either. I didn't learn about an interlocutory appeal till probably 5 years ago.
I guess I'd heard of it. I just hadn't looked into it. I was going more for an injunction or an estoppel on appeal, but maybe that was mistaken. But
I understand why you was going for those. An injunction is very difficult to get. One, again, how are you going to get a federal court to grant you an injunction against her?
for her obvious, blatant act of perjury.
You say perjury. The court may not see it that way because she's not been charged.
Any
Yeah,
claim
as of
has to be proved. If you come in as the claimant, you're going to have to prove it.
Exactly,
That's right.
like all of her paperwork accusing me of being violent, but the only question that I asked her in like counter questioning, which she expressed several times in different text messages, that she left before I harmed them, but yet in all of her paperwork accusing me of violence and of
Okay.
Okay.
Let me tell you why that's not perjury. She accused you of violence. In her mind, whatever you was doing was violent. In your mind, it may not be. That's not perjury.
No, accusing me of family, like assault, like kicking my daughter, which is an absolute lie. There's no proof of it. There is only her hearsay. That is all that there ever was. What they really are going off of is my highly charged emotional reaction the first week after she left, which she filed the police report a week after she had already been gone because of the text messages that I had been sending or whatever. But that is the only thing that they have gone off of, my emotional reaction after the fact of being deprived unjustifiably, because of what she did. She only filed those family violence cases because I told her I was going to bring up the fact, which I didn't because I know it's only hearsay evidence as well, and I have no proof of it. But I told her I was going to tell them that, and she knows the truth. She slapped our daughter in the face like twice. I saw with my own eyes, but I don't. It's only hearsay evidence. But she did what she did because of that. I damn well know that she did that. That's why she did that. But
and go ahead, D.
Let me give you a little insight with family law, okay? In every other case, criminal, civil, or anything else, it's you against another party or you against the state, whatever. Family law is a whole different eggshell all to itself because it's not just, even if it's a state case against you or her against you, it's actually y'all plus the children. And the children are going to be the priority of the case. So even when there's allegations, the court system has to do what they deem best for the minors that can't protect themselves, that can't speak up, that don't have those rights. So the burden of proof becomes even more important and powerful in those cases because they're always going to side on the side of protecting the child without taking any chances, if that makes sense. And everything you say can be accurate. Everything she says can be false. But who do they have to protect? They have to take the children's protection. And so they're not going to care whether it's truth. I mean, they care, but it's not going to matter when it comes to protecting the children. That's the utmost importance. Do you understand?
I do understand, but I also do understand that it's really not about their protection because if you look at what is happening in Missouri and like the trafficking that goes on in the whole system,
No,
it's
we're
definitely
not talking about the whole
We're
system.
not talking about the whole system. We're talking about you. You in this case here. And that's what it comes down to, is there overruling is going to be the safety of the children regardless of what's going on. And I've been through this with other cases because I always represent the father because I believe in father's rights. I have never represented a mother. I haven't. That's been my choice because I believe father's rights are very underdeveloped in America, to say the least.
Yes, I agree. Now, here's something else. You've heard the saying, remain in honor at all costs, right? Guess what you've not done a lot of times in this case? Remained in honor. You've admitted that your emotions get the best of you. Put your mangina away. Leave it in the closet. And I say that because why? Everybody has a masculine and a feminine side. When your feminine side is out, your emotions are out. And your emotions will get you in trouble. And the more you tell us, yeah, you have. But guess what?
Yeah,
the
I'm calmed down.
Well, I know I understand that. But it doesn't matter if you've calmed down now. In the last 5 months, look how many times you put on a scene in front of the judge.
Well, the last appearance, I handled myself more.
It doesn't even have to be in front of the judge, though. If you're coming off that strong, even around other people or even her, it's going to show towards your character in the court.
I've only ever tried to talk to her, just communicate. She never wants to communicate, even still.
You can't make her because why? She has rights. If she doesn't want to talk, you can't make her. Right now, I will leave names out of it, but I'll tell you this. You sound a lot like the guy that fell in love with my oldest daughter that was dating my daughter, you are pointing the blame at her, at the state. You don't want to hear nothing anybody else says, even though you say you hear us and you listen and you latch on to it. You say it. But that guy right there is doing the same thing. My daughter's going to have a baby with him. And guess what? They're not even together now. Why? Because you sound a lot like him. And I tell him the same thing I'm telling you. Because would I want him in my grandchild's life? I told my daughter that in some ways she's in the wrong. Why? That child needs a father.
And
But
you're actually right, Patrick.
Everything
if
I'm telling you is because, one, I've been there. I've acted a lot of the ways you are, and you have. And two, this freaking guy's doing the same thing you're doing.
if y'all knew like every aspect, yeah, I mean, probably most would might think that I'm not fit.
I didn't say
It
he
doesn't
wasn't
matter.
fit. It's not that. That's not what I'm saying. This guy gave
I'm
my
just saying, if you knew
daughter,
everything.
listen. This guy had every intention of supporting my daughter. Over a period of a couple months, he sent her, even though they were not together, over $5,000. Why? He loved her. He loved her, so his actions by sending money was doing what he thought was right to take care of her and his future offspring. The problem was he let his mangina, and I told him, put your pussy away. I said, you were letting your emotions control you, and all you're doing is acting like a bigger woman than my daughter is, and she is despising you over it.
This is going to be on a clip of Maury tomorrow.
Do what?
So this is going to be a clip on Maury Povich tomorrow.
Why do you think Maury Povich is so successful?
I'm sorry.
Shane, you
His
doing okay?
material from Pastor.
Oh, I'm doing great.
I was
I
talking to
just,
Shane, Pastor.
oh, Shane. Oh, yeah. He's
Yeah,
doing, he's
guys,
actually
I
doing
But
better.
this happens to every man who loses his kids right away. Like, it's not you. Like, I know it sounds like everyone's picking on you, but it's just like, it's almost like a picture next to the dictionary of what happens to a guy once he loses his kids. It's the same. It's not you. We're not picking on you. You know that, right?
I do know that. It's just I know, and I cannot wait for the day, and I know it's going to come whenever I can come on here and tell all of y'all that I have succeeded, because
Hey,
it will come.
my buddy Gary up in New York, okay, he learned the rules properly. Did he know anything about all this other stuff I teach? No, he didn't. He didn't care. He learned the rules of civil procedure, the rules of evidence. He learned all of that. The man is a beast when it comes to appellate court. He beat the state of New York numerous times at the appellate level. And guess what? It took him almost, I'd say, 9 years, give or take. And he's got his kid today. But he took the time to learn, build his evidence, and right now his daughter's getting ready to sue them for millions of dollars. Why? Because he did the prerequisite work to prove the corruption, prove the lies, that they were doing the damage to him and his daughter. And guess what? He's going to represent his daughter in court, and they're going to beat the tar out of the state of New York. I have no doubt in my mind. Okay,
Still doesn't make up for 9 years, but
it doesn't make up. You're right.
and I don't have that kind of patience.
You're going to have to learn it, or you're going to have to walk away. Because if you're not willing to do it for 3 years or 9 years or however long it takes, walk away.
I can't do either.
You ain't got a
I'm-
choice,
I-
Bubba. Because what's going to
I'm-
happen is if you can't, what's going to happen is the people with guns are going to make you walk away. Or you're going to end up with a criminal sentence because you're going to lose it one day. You either learn to be a man. What is a man's role? A man's role is a warrior. We were meant to put our emotions aside to fight the enemy and go to war. So what do our souls
Oh, then I'm
do?
stuck at being a man.
Yeah, well, not really.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that.
Yeah,
it's
it's
I'm not.
we. So what
It's
do we
only
do?
it's only
Our-
saying that I am going to dedicate it's my only focus in life right now.
I know
And
it
it's
is.
going to be until I'm successful. No
Yes.
ifs and
Yeah,
ands
you-
about it.
Just hold up. You got to be logical. Like, you just got to sit there and think, okay, right, there's this woman in here. She's a paralegal. She did family. Okay, you got that. You got the W-4 process for child support. So you're going to go through this very slowly, whether you buy the course and learn jurisdictionary, which is very difficult, or you're going to hire someone to help you with administrative work because you don't want a lawyer. They're not that great. And then you're going to go through the process one motion at a time. You're going to then maybe hire someone to write you a trust or do it yourself, because this is going to take years for each of these tasks. And then you're going to just do the W-4 process, and you're going to be sorted. Just be like, I got it. I know what I got to do, and these are options that won't take as long. If you have money, it won't take as long. If you don't have money, you're going to have to commit that many years. That's the truth of the matter.
It's not the fact of whether you got money or not. One, D may decide, look, I'll help this guy, but here's the problem. He's got to defend the papers. She could probably write them all day long. She was a paralegal. But can he defend it in court? No. And that's where the problem lies. That's why it takes years. I've said it over and over and over. On average, some people it takes a little more. Some people it takes a little less. On average, it takes at least 3 years for the average person to gain the knowledge to be proficient enough to be able to stand in court.
You don't think there could be papers filed that would automatically settle the situation outside of him?
Not in this, no.
I don't know the background of it, but if 30 days ago he had something that gave her custody, minimum time, even if he was in perfect composure right now, would be 6 months.
Yeah. She's got
And
custody.
that's with him being able to have all of the backing of documents of everything and witnesses to say otherwise from what her claims are, and also to be able to stand there in composure, not talk derogatory about the mother, and maintain that composure through all of it. And that's what he's got to overcome right now. That's what he's got to start working on himself, to be able to take time away and regain some of that. Do something that you enjoy outside of the realm of concentrating and obsessing over this case.
Yeah.
Dad said that what he did was he would walk. He went insane. And when I was going insane later on in life, not from this, but he said I walked. I would walk and walk and walk and walk some more. That's how
his quiet time. The walking represented quiet time.
And walking may not be it. For me, it's just being outdoors anywhere, doing anything outdoors, whether it's swimming, canoeing, or whatever. You've got to find that piece that you can relax the mind a little bit to regain that composure that you're going to need.
And Iona, you asked the question, do I think it's not possible that some piece of paper will fix everything? That's the other problem in this legal community, is that the average person gets in this state that he's in. They almost all, everybody that got into this situation has everything from a traffic ticket to a criminal case to an IRS case to a foreclosure. They have had the system come against them, and now they're in desperate straits, and they listen to people, and the people tell them, file this paper, it'll fix everything. They file the paper, and it doesn't.
No, I meant like with
magic
administrative
bullet.
court. Sometimes in administrative court, it doesn't go to actual court. It will settle outside of the court. That's what I meant.
Yeah, but okay. Well, it won't settle because why? She won't talk, and she don't have to.
Yep.
Now, you can require mediation in your court case, but that, again, you're going to have to get through whatever's in the paperwork currently that they're requesting.
And I take all, I value everyone's advice, and I get where everybody's coming from. And I know I'm not trying to argue with anybody. But on numerous occasions and numerous different things, I have been the exception to the rule.
I doubt that. No offense.
I'm going to prove it to you, Pastor.
I want you
I'm going
to.
to prove it to you.
I want you to.
But
that goes right back to what Iona said earlier. No, or D, one of them. An overconfidence. And pride
I shouldn't have any confidence,
before.
Honestly.
No. There's a difference between healthy confidence and overconfidence. The Bible says what? Pride goes before a fall.
Exactly.
And a lot of times the way you try not to be, but a lot of times you come across that way because why? You know deep down you're not ready if you're honest about it, but yet you refuse to accept that.
And I get that because you feel like you've been done wrong, which you may have been, and you've got all this pent up, built up frustration on how the system worked. But you've got to readjust yourself and start looking at it from an outside angle, on an outside view.
Objectively.
Definitely.
Look, I have seen it too many times. There is psychological trauma that goes into every one of those examples I gave earlier. I see it over and over because I was in it too. What do we do when we get into our situation? We start the process. Hear my story. I was done wrong. How do I fix it? That's the basic version. But it's always, I was done wrong. Hear my story. How do I fix it? Instead of stopping and saying, I don't care to hear your story. I need to teach you what to do to fix your story. Okay? Because the how and the I was done wrong is irrelevant to what you need to learn so you have the ability to fix it. You're not to the point where you can fix it yet. You're still at the I was done wrong, hear my story stage.
No, it's always, even, of course, the main thing is getting them back, but for one thing is to fix, like, just the record, just to set everything right, because, I mean,
Look,
and
I went through that exact thing for over 3 years in the family court case. I talked to news media, hear my story. I was done wrong. I wasn't to the point where I could say, what do I need to do to fix it? I called every newspaper, every TV channel. Literally, I called the FBI and was reporting them. So you don't think for a second I know what I'm talking about?
no,
I was just like you.
You didn't have you didn't have yourself to advise you, but I feel like I'm picking up a lot of what you're putting down, and
And I'm glad.
it's adding up, and it's not going to take me as long.
It might not, but you got to get past the psychological stage you're at. And right now, you're still at the hear my story, I've been done wrong.
And on appeal, I mean, with rules of evidence and all that, like, there's so many angles to this. Like,
Get all of that boxed up, put it in a closet, put the closet in a shed out back, and leave it there. You're not going to correct what's already been done. You've got to start from this point forward, building the case that says, I am coming to you with humble composure to show you that I am the man that I should be, that I am the father, and work at it that way. If you keep harping on the past, that's just like throwing a bunch of laundry on top of your head until you can't get out of it. I mean, box it up. Start here.
what do y'all think about, like, having already gone through the custody case and the restraining order case without actually having been tried for the said false allegations of family violence, which in the case itself is not the mother of my children coming against me for family violence. It's the state, which how is that even possible? Like, I did not assault the state of Texas.
Okay, let me ask you a
alleged.
question.
Stupid.
Does the answer to that matter to the case going forward?
Well, the fact that I was like this case was judged based upon
Doesn't
those
matter.
false allegations, which I didn't even have my day in court.
It doesn't matter. Your time is expired for the appeal, so there is nothing that can be done to correct anything of the past. Do you understand? In the court system, that is already a closed issue.
Yeah.
Isn't there like no statute of limitations on fraud?
On the appeal, you didn't do it.
There's no fraud, because why? You accepted the terms of the contract because you didn't appeal it in time. So now you can't come back later and scream fraud because you remained silent.
What has
And
happened now
silence is
become a fact of
acquiescence.
court.
What's
Okay, when you were talking earlier about acquiescence, that's basically what you did. You did not put up a fight. You did not appeal it to say, I need to be heard because this decision was incorrect.
What I actually did whenever they did issue those final orders, I immediately within 72 hours wrote on them that all these orders are just brutes and Fulham. They are null and void. That their offer to contract was not accepted.
That
And
don't matter. You
You were
listen to
listening to
a
the wrong
guru.
people.
Yeah, you listen to a guru that told you to write stuff like that, but they didn't tell you how to defend it and how to enforce it.
they didn't. I denied. I objected to jurisdiction from the start. They never had my consent, and
Yes, they
I've
already
never
had
signed a
they already
thing.
had jurisdiction. She gave it to them.
She gave them jurisdiction, and the children did by where they reside. So that was a moot point.
You're arguing jurisdiction when it's not a state case. If it had been a state started case, you might have had an argument.
Texas Family Code 152.106 says that court has no jurisdiction unless the respondent or defendant consents
Okay.
to.
She's
Let's-
the respond. She's the petitioner. She gave jurisdiction.
Mhm.
The kids are in the jurisdiction
Okay.
more than 6 months. You're not trying to accept the facts. Now you're just wanting to argue with us because you're still at the stage of, hear my case, I was done wrong.
I'm trying to get past that point. I'm working on my trust. That's what I'm focused on right now, and gonna get that done, as well as working on. Y'all say that I've already wasted my time for appeal, but I'm not quite sure because the case is still open. Actually, at least for the custody, it's not closed.
What
Like
do you mean?
they're still waiting.
Did you get full custodianship for them?
They've issued orders, but they're still waiting on me if I'm going to file for a trial de novo. The case is still open; it's not closed.
Yeah, you want to get those custodian guardian rights as more priority than your trust, probably, or maybe do them at the same time.
So what do you mean by they're still waiting to see if you're going to do a trial de novo? What do you mean? Did they put that in the order? Where is that coming from?
That's one of the last things. Well, it's in the rules of the court as well. Like he didn't fully inform me like he was supposed to, but at least he did inform me that I was entitled to a trial de novo, and not sure if I think it's like 60 days or something like they're waiting on, but yeah, I don't.
Then your trial de novo is what you need to be concentrating on.
Yeah, not
If
trust.
that's the case.
Just that. Just one thing. Just that case right now. That's it.
Yeah, but come in with my own claims, not as the defendant anymore.
No, don't do that.
What does a trial de novo mean?
New trial?
No, it doesn't mean new trial. What does it mean? Look it up. A trial de novo is similar to an appeal, but it's not. It's where they don't. I don't. If I could be wrong on here, I could be wrong. I've heard the term numerous times. It's not really an appeal, and it's not really a trial. It's they go back and
You get a new trial.
they review everything and decide if there needs to be a new trial. It's not quite the same thing as an appeal.
What do you think about, issuing bonds, like putting bonds on the cases, or like even a W-4, like
Okay, wait. There hasn't been a determination made. There's been no determination. That's what this definition.
The only determination that has been finalized, I guess, it's unjustified, but like the restraining order, like apparently I'm not supposed to talk to her for the rest of her life, which is stupid. But
Okay, so what does that have to do with you filing for custodianship through paperwork? I'm just wondering. I don't know because I'm not a lawyer.
I don't know.
Then maybe you might want to file those custodian forms and file them into the court.
Well, you also
I don't know.
You need to go look up and get familiar with what a trial de novo is. If they've put it in writing and notified you that you have 60 days, if that's what it is, I don't know in Texas. Okay? If they've told you that and they told you the time frame, guess what you need to be concentrating on? And you've wasted 30 days looking for magic bullets.
I've not. I sent you the list of all the defects that I've wrote down that are legitimate defects.
Hold on. Do what, D?
I just looked up the de novo hearings for Texas, okay? And in it's section 201.317, de novo hearing. A party may request a de novo hearing before the referring court by filing with the clerk of the referring court a written request not later than the third working day after the date the party receives notice of the substance of the associate judge report. So if you've already received the judge's report and it's been 3 working days past that, you can't file for the de novo hearing.
Well, the case is still open. It's not closed.
You've not received an order?
You've not received a custody order granting her custody?
I'm not sure they were final or still temporary, but
if it says order on it and it doesn't say temporary, it's final.
Answer one question. Did the court issue an order granting her custody?
I guess, yeah. Yeah.
That was when? 30 days ago?
Maybe I'm just wasting all y'all's time. Maybe I should just give up, huh?
You're not wasting my time.
No, you can never give up.
What we're trying to do is trying to teach you to stop doing these magic bullet template things and trying to teach you how to learn how the system works. We're telling you what you need to do to change things. Now you're getting frustrated because you don't like what you're hearing.
No, well, I'm not getting frustrated. I'm really not.
Yes, you are, because that's why you stated, maybe I'm just wasting y'all's times. Maybe I should give up. That was a frustration statement if I've ever heard it.
Well, you said I've already
wasted to be frustrated. No, you have a right to be frustrated. I think the court system, especially with family law with fathers, sucks. It's not geared to be equitable in any manner. That said, there are still rules of procedures that have to be followed. And that's why I keep expressing to you that you need to box up all the past, including any hard feelings you have towards her, so that you can start fresh and have the humble composure that you need to stand before the court and get what you want done.
Hey, Pastor,
Yeah.
what about your main point one time that you tried to hammer home? Like, forget every book, every other code, every other rule. It's the Bill of Rights. That's the most
That's not what I
fundamental.
said.
Well,
said-
understand the Constitution, understand the Bill of Rights.
Yes, that's what I said. Is you have two
Right.
constitutions, and I said you need to forget what everybody else has taught you. And see, this is the thing nobody does. They don't go get the United States Constitution with analysis, 2,800 pages, and read it.
Yeah.
I
Who wants
said,
to
you
read
don't
28
even,
pages?
2,800 pages, nobody wants to, but guess what? The purpose is this. How are you ever going to learn what your rights are and how to defend them if you don't know how that document even applies?
Exactly, but if they've been violated, how could any
They haven't
time
been
limit
violated yet.
Or it applies. You know.
It does apply.
Well, that's
The
that's
question
what I'm
is
saying
how.
is we're hearing lots of things in these groups where like it might not even apply. So it's like there's like a lot of stuff going on, information overload. You know.
No, the question isn't whether or not it applies. The question is how it applies. Most every law the government passes is according to the Constitution. The problem is the people don't understand the Constitution. And what do the people do instead of learning the Constitution? They bitch because they didn't like what they think they understand.
The
Give you a prime.
Constitution was written for the official offices. It wasn't written for us. The Bill of Rights apply for us.
Yes,
It's
now,
only the Bill
let
of
me give
Rights.
you a prime example. Look at how many people on the right are screaming the loudest about they're trying to take away our guns. And the way I explain it to people is this. I said, one, if you go back to 1890-ish, they call them antique guns. Why are they protected by the Second Amendment? And why is the left screaming so loud trying to get rid of your ability to make what is called ghost guns? Because why is ghost guns protected by the Second Amendment? And why
Because they're
is
not in commerce. I remember you saying
that?
that.
That's exactly right. I tell people the minute you let Smith and Wesson and Remington make all the firearms, it put them in commerce. And the government can regulate them under the Commerce Clause into oblivion. But people think the government's doing a bunch of unconstitutional stuff. See, you're sitting here saying they violated my rights because you don't like what they've done, but you haven't even studied the
No,
very book.
it's just going back to the maxims, Pastor. It's just going back to the fundamentals. And whether I know you say they had the authority to do what they did, but even like the way that they did it, it's this entire debacle. I mean, you say it's not fraud, but
it feels fraudulent. I said the same thing back in the day. It feels that way because why? It hurts when they do things that make you feel
it breaks the
deprived.
tenets of contract law. It breaks the most fundamental tenets of contract law.
What do you think the most fundamental tenets are?
Number one being full and honest disclosure.
They publish everything. You just don't read it.
They do not disclose it to us directly. There's no meeting of
They
the
don't
minds.
have to tell you directly. Do you want another man to carry you? Come here, son. Don't worry. I'll carry you in life. Then you
How
will
about
never stand on your own. The government publishes everything. You're not reading it. So don't tell me they didn't give you full disclosure, because they did.
our denial of self-determination because we were already described or prescribed a certain status as a newborn without
Oh, really?
our knowledge.
Where is your evidence that you were given a certain status, and what status was given to you?
Or even documentation without it's not. I mean,
Hold on. You made a claim. What status was given to you?
I can answer that.
just binding us to these adhesion contracts without
They
our
didn't
consent.
bind anything to you before the age of 18. You bound yourself to it after the age of 18 because why? Just like me, you cared more about chasing women than studying what your rights are. So again, where's the fraud? You told me they violated the fundamental principles of contract law. It's just like you got those people says, where's the wedding signature? Well, did you get a wedding signature when you went into McDonald's? You went in there and done a contract. You went in with the intent to do business. You looked at the terms of the contract. It's called a menu. You ordered the food. But guess what? If they got the order wrong, did they make you pay for that order? No, they did not. They refixed it. And then if they got the second one right, what did they do? Then you paid for it. They didn't charge you for both. They charged you for one. Did you ever once give them a wedding signature to go in there and buy a meal? No. A wedding signature is not what makes or breaks a contract. That's what's called form over substance. You agreed. You said that was your name. Even in this court case, you said that was your name.
I
And you sat
told
there
you
and
that.
looked at the social security card every day of your life and looked at the front of it. You even probably looked at the back of it. You might have even read it, but guess what? You say they never fully disclosed anything. They put it right there in front of your face.
It's gonna be soon. It's gonna be soon. I know it is.
What is?
I'm gonna prove it to you. I'm gonna prove it to y'all. I'm determined. I swear to God, I'm gonna prove it to y'all.
You will win when you start listening and quit making excuses.
I will win because I know I'm right.
Yeah, but you're not following the rules.
I know I'm not right now. I'm gonna figure it out. I swear to God, I'm gonna figure it out.
I've been telling you what to read. Have you been doing it?
I have.
You have? It don't sound like it because your language isn't changing. What does the Bible says? Out of the mouth comes blessings and cursings. Your speech betrays you.
And I've found that out. Like I'm arguing here. I'm not arguing in court anymore.
You're not ready to argue in
I'm not
court
trying to be
because why?
arguments here. But
Look, I know, but you're not ready to argue in court because you can't even handle the truth that me and Dee have been telling you. Dee's a paralegal. She did it for decades. I'd be willing to say when it comes to procedure, I already know she's better than I am.
and I'm not.
But you're
I'm
arguing
not.
with
I'm not just.
us. But you're arguing with us because your mangina hurts. Instead of
I
saying, you know
wasn't
what,
trying
let
to.
me get my emotions out of the way. Let me sit down objectively. Let's look at what Dee's telling me. Let's go learn the rules because they publish everything. So I am better and more competent to be able to do this. And not rush, because if you rush, you're going to make a mistake. Yes, you miss your kids. I went without my daughter for 7 years. So I know what you feel. I
can do a
know
lot, but
the pain you
I don't think
carry.
I'm that strong. I don't think I can do that.
You know what? You know how much
I
faith? Let me hold on. You know how much faith Jesus said you had to have? The faith
that's
the
where I'm
size
at.
of a grain of mustard seed. And guess what you're doing? You're already shooting yourself in the foot because what are you saying? You're speaking aloud that you can't do it. I'm not that strong. Okay, guess what? You're going to believe it.
What I
If you are
believe
telling yourself you're not that strong, guess what's going to happen? You are going to produce the fruit that prove you right.
On the other
See,
hand,
you
though,
are double-minded, and a double-minded man can't do anything because out of your mouth on one side is I'm not that strong, and out of the other side of your mouth you're sitting there telling us I'm going to be victorious. Which one is it?
because I'm not going to wait that long
You
for
may not have a choice
people.
because the men with guns will put you in the ground.
The way that it's already is, I might as already well be.
I know the feeling,
So
Bubba, but you got to realize what you're up against. We're trying to tell you everything right to get you better prepared for when the time comes, but you don't like what we tell you.
I'm sorry I come off the wrong way.
You're not
No,
coming off the wrong way. You're coming off how you are right now, and you're in a state of chaos and you're in a state of frustration, and we hear that. That's why we're trying to walk you through it.
I used to be in a state of chaos. Like,
no, you're in a state of chaos now. I just told you and showed you you're double minded. What is double mindedness? A state of chaos. You are tossed to and fro with whichever way that rudder directs you, like a ship lost at sea. Because that little tongue you got is your rudder, and you can't even control that.
Actually, I can. Normally I'm very introverted. I'm a lone wolf.
Yes,
I'm
but you're hurting. And when you're hurting, all you want, expect now for a man that's hurting, it's a big freaking deal for a man to ask for help. Because why? Psychologically, when we get to talking about why we're hurting, it's because we emotionally feel helpless. Been there, done that. Everything I'm telling you, I've done. You should go read the book. It's a little short book called For Women Only by Shantae Feldhahn. She did her freaking homework. I read that book at my mid 20s and I cried like a baby. You know why I cried like a baby? Because that was the first time in my life I realized, what the hell, I'm normal. You haven't realized that. You haven't realized your double mindedness. You haven't realized you are in a state of chaos. Because why? Your heart has been ripped out of you, called your children, and you don't know how to fix it. We are protectors. The worst thing a man can go through is the feeling that the very thing God gave us to protect and we can't. I can't tell you how many times I cried fighting family court because of the helplessness I felt. So I know what you're going through. The problem is you haven't come to grips. Until you come to grips with what I'm saying, we can't help you. Because why? Just like Dee said, you got to let the past go before you can move forward. That's the hardest thing you're going to ever have to deal with. Until you deal with that, look, I'm going to tell y'all something I don't talk about much. In 1993, I found out I was raped by a man that drugged my drink. Actually, I found out in 97. Do you know how many years it took me praying to God to be able to, where I could say I could forgive that man? It took me 2 years. It took me 2 years to be able to know my heart was clean to where I didn't have hate. I didn't have all of this crap. Because why? If I didn't forgive him, he still had control. It's up to God to deal with them. This is no different with your situation. You've been raped emotionally. Because why? Your children have been ripped from you. And you are holding on to all this baggage to where you can't hear anything. That's why I'm so hard on you. Because I see me in you. I see where I was in you. And I care enough to tell you that. You got to get to the point where you accept it and learn how to deal with it. Because you're never going to be able to move forward if you don't.
I'm gonna start holding my tongue.
That's the best thing you can do, because if you're trying to learn, you got to first be able to hear. And if you got a tongue in your ear, you ain't hearing.
Well, it's. I'm gonna hold it.
I'll say it for you. You will get through this and you will succeed. Because I know that's what you want to say. And it's the truth. You just have to have the patience and the composure to get there.
I appreciate it.
We're on your side, O. We really are.
I can tell that, and I do appreciate it, Pastor. I'm sorry I come off as argumentative, and acting like I know it all when I know that I don't. But
The first step to fixing any problem is admitting there is one.
like I said, if y'all really knew the truth, y'all probably think I'm halfway not fit as it is. But go ahead and say it. Like, okay, see, you were open. Well,
Hey, look.
do the same.
Look, you're not a perfect dad. I'm not a perfect dad. These women are not perfect mothers. That doesn't mean you're unfit. Don't put words in our mouth saying that, yeah, y'all probably would think I'm unfit. No. We can tell you love your children. That's why you hurt so much. I read a court case once that said, and I don't think the case necessarily mentioned alienation per se, but the principle was in the case. And one of the things the judge said in that case, and I would have to go find it, I read it years ago, that for the child to be, I think it had to do with termination of parental rights. They said to a parent, it is the equivalent of a death sentence. They compared it to an actual death sentence at a murder trial. The difference is the parent lives that death sentence daily.
I have that case. Yeah.
Send me that case because I've wanted to find it.
I thought I gave you the link to. It's got several. There couldn't be bigger custody cases before all Supreme Court cases. Not state Supreme Court. Yeah.
But they're not wrong. It is a death sentence because why? That's your heart. Men just show their emotions differently than women. Some of us don't show them easily either. And God forbid you ever get close enough to a woman that you can let those walls down and show those emotions, and then that woman betrays you. There might not be another a woman ever get those walls down. That's just the problem us men have, because we don't show that easily. And I tell people, I married my best friend. My wife is my world.
We had the perfect life.
No,
a
we
brand
don't.
new mortgage. I said we did.
Oh,
She just ruined it. Like we had a brand new house. I mean, I'm still in it right now, but like, our relationship wasn't even, not even half of what, you know, normal toxic relationships are. And I don't know, man. It's just, I don't know if she can fix what she's done either.
yeah, but you were putting all the blame on her, and you haven't even addressed you. One of the
That's
things I
true.
tell people is, for example, not your case, but when there's an affair, most people won't agree with this, but it's both parties' fault. See, when a woman has an affair, it's because that man met an emotional need that her husband wasn't meeting. And it's not something that happens quickly. It happens over a long period of time.
I'm just saying, like I always told her, like one thing I got in trouble for, like the week after, and even before she left, like I seriously will not be able to emotionally or mentally like cope with another man raising my I won't be able to. I'm gonna lose it if it
Right
ever
now, yeah, you probably are.
if it ever does it, like ever, like I will not tolerate that.
You ain't gonna have a choice. She has a
I
free will.
I know, and so do I. Yeah. And
If she decides to move on one day, guess what? You ain't gonna have a choice in the matter. So you need to learn to deal with those emotions today.
I will have a choice whether or not I want to be the hand of vengeance or not.
And that's not the answer, because what's going to happen if you do? You're going to
I know
prove
that. I
everybody
know
right
that.
that you're unfit and you're going to be in jail.
No, she's going to get what she deserved for doing what she
No,
did.
then you are going to prove everything right and you are going to go to prison or
And
jail.
your kids lose two parents.
Yeah, that's right.
So who would that be helping?
I can with that though. I'm not. I'm not. I'm just saying. I'm saying it right now. Like I know the consequences of every other. I know what it's gonna. But I'm not gonna be able to.
Yeah, but you need to deal with these emotions now, because if you don't, you're never going to win.
I feel regretful for bringing them into this world to begin with.
Why? They're a gift from God.
Yeah, but this stupid ass world and giving them a stupid ass mother.
Yeah, but God chose to give those kids to you two. You are both adults, and it's you're both freaking supposed to be adults, but you're acting like infants.
I've tried to be civil this whole time. She does not want to cooperate. And she calls me the narcissist. She calls me the narcissist, but she doesn't even try.
And guess what Jesus said? Treat people how you want to be treated, not how they treat you.
I've tried.
Pastor, may I?
Go ahead.
You are me. I am you. I hear you talking about a narcissist, and I had to jump in because you sound like you've been with one just as long as I have. I was married for 13 years. I'm involved in a court case, custody case over vaccines. I don't want them on my children, and I've lost essentially custody. My back's against the wall. I need somebody like D. Bradbury in the worst way. Maybe I'll get to work with it. It's not about me right now. I want you to know that I'm going to give you advice that I got, and it's the only thing you need to be doing right now. You got to get out of the blame. You got to get out of the victim mode. You can't resort to old gun, old Texas ways, because you will get put down or you'll go to prison. You need to read the book of Job at least 3 times. And I mean slowly and thoroughly. In fact, if you were a smart man, you would get the Bible app and you would listen to the book of Job every week for as long as it takes, start to finish. And then you need to get the book by Sun Tzu, Art of War. You need to do the same thing with that book on audio. And that's the only 2 things you need to listen to until you can calm yourself down and realize there's really not a hell of a lot you can do. And if you can learn to calm yourself, if you can learn to perfect those 2 books, then you might have a chance to win. And then you might be able to have a chance to actually hear what the pastor's trying to say and what D might be able to do for you going forward. I yield.
Tim W., by the way, once I get the first part posted, because I don't know at what point you came in, I did start off, since you wasn't there, because I waited for a little bit, addressing a lot of the questions you brought up on the BC and the court and how they operate and what's really going on. So the first part of this, I'll get it out of my save folder, put it up on Rumble, and then I'll share it so you can listen to it.
Thank you for that. I fell asleep and I woke up maybe 2 hours ago into this. Maybe it's been 3 hours, and I've just been sitting back listening because over the last several months, my process has been 2 years since the divorce plus now, but I'm dealing with a narcissist too. I've actually identified her through my own suffering and healing my own kid. That I don't know if OO's even thought about that, but he's got a child, he's got a little boy, he's got to go back and heal. A lot of those emotions coming out, I've dealt with them too. In fact, it took me 16 months of crying in a bed with PTSD so bad I could hardly do anything, fibromyalgia to agoraphobia, being scared to take trash out to a dumpster. After being in sales for 16 years, I was reduced to just a vegetable.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to pull myself back up out of that bed. I had to get rid of that fibromyalgia and that agoraphobia. And I have to learn how to be a man. And that's who's talking right now. It's somebody who's learning how to be a man after going and healing a child. And I'm never going to change that ex-wife. She's a covert narcissist. She is a psychopath. That's what they're defined as. And I just have to realize that I can choose to be like her. I can get in her pig pen and wrestle with her all she wants, because the rest of her life, every week, as far as I'm concerned, she's going to try to do that, because that's just what they do. But at some point, if I can stay cool, calm, and collected, I know my son and my daughters, I have a special needs youngest, they love me dearly. And if I can keep my composure, eventually, as they go through their teens, my son's 12 now, my daughter is 10, my youngest daughter with special needs, Down syndrome, is 9. They will know their father took the high road. He took the Sun Tzu route. He took the Book of Job route. And sooner or later, I've come to this realization the last few months, and hopefully, you do too. This is the Book of Job we're talking about here. You are Job, and I am Job. And Pastor has been Job, and every man that's gone through pain and having his heart ripped out is going through the Book of Job. The court system is the Book of Job. Satan is who's been doing all this to us. What you don't realize, you're at war with Satan. You're not at war with your ex. I'm not either.
I realize.
I hope this helps. I yield.
Yep, he's absolutely right. Jesus said that Satan is the god of this world. People talk about all the time how much they can't believe in a God that allows so much evil. Well, you're pointing your finger to the wrong person.
We allow too much evil.
Yeah. No, we allow it too, But Satan is the god of this world, okay? And the average person, whether they openly admit it or not, worships Satan. And a form of Satan is also worshiping self.
Now, Joshua and David went to war a lot, and I guess not really atheists, but maybe agnostics have a point in like how the Bible can be contradictory to itself at times. You know, whenever it says
Yeah.
like turn the other cheek, but at the same time, there's a time for peace and a time for war, and who is going to stand up for me against the evildoers and the workers of iniquity?
Yeah, part of forgiveness of those that's done you wrong is now they no longer have power over you, and then you allow God to actually work on the situation. As
Samson
long
was
as
his
you
son
are
of
willing
vengeance.
to, as long as you are not willing to forgive, as long as you are willing to hold on to that anger, God can't work.
And I think too, in our case, because I don't see it right now, part of forgiveness, and maybe it's in the Black's Law Dictionary, part of forgiveness is recoupment of reposit of stolen property, which is an angle that as fathers we might have if you can keep your cool long enough, because that's something that I've come to understand that at some point I need a reposit for my stolen property. I yield.
Yeah,
That's
you're
something
you're
that
right.
can never be really fully compensated for, though.
No, it can't, but that's not the point of whether it can be fully compensated.
It's just it's never going to change if we just keep putting up with it, though.
Who said anything
And
about
just try
putting
to
up with it? See,
buy it.
before you become an expert at something, what do you have to do? You have to go to college. Before an attorney is allowed to join the bar, what does he have to do? He has to do 2 years of a bachelor degree, become a paralegal, and then 4 years to get his Juris Doctorate. So now he's got 6 years in of preparation to just become an attorney. You don't have to put 6 years, but you do have to do the work. You have to do the preparation. You don't go to war until you are prepared for battle. And you were not prepared for battle.
That's what makes these 2 books I recommended. And I'm telling you, this is your life at stake. I'm telling you, as a person who almost died.
Oh, no, I know that.
My friend, I had a headache from the top of my head to the back of my head. It was called adrenal drain fatigue. I literally, for 13 months, was in a perilous state. I nearly died. And I'm telling you, that book, particularly Sun Tzu on the Art of War, there's principles you have got to understand. That once you understand those principles, you realize if you do it the right way, your adversary is going to be deathly afraid of you.
Mm-hmm.
You probably won't have to do a whole hell of a lot, because what the pastor's trying to tell you is you got to slow down enough to realize, my friend, both of us have really got to go to school. We don't know shit about the law, and we can run our mouths as much as we want and talk about a tough game and getting guns out and start shooting people up and giving up. And that's a way out if you want to take that way. But like Dee said and others, you're going to rob your kids. And eternally, my friend, you'll damn yourself. And that's just not a price I'm willing to pay. Because what you have to understand, when you've been cheated on, ripped apart, I don't know if you were married, but I mean, I was married. My ex-wife is an adulteress, and that's between her and God. She's an adulteress, period. Plain and simple. But that's not my fight anymore. That's not I can't judge her on that. You have to find forgiveness for these people because, you know, if she is narcissistic, like my ex-wife is, and all these narcissistic relationships, these people are intrinsically disordered. They chose Lucifer. They chose the Antichrist. If you look up any definition of Lucifer, if you look up any definition of Antichrist from somebody that truly knows what the heck that piece of shit is, and all his minions that have just tortured people spiritually and psychologically, you will realize that these people, as narcissists, have chosen loyalty to the Antichrist. Period.
Well,
I yield.
yeah, they will never violate your free will. I mean, as long as you keep making the same choices, you're never going to come out of it. I read a court case talking about the Fifth Amendment, and I'm gonna paraphrase the case, and I can go find it if I, it wouldn't take me but a minute to go find it. But it was dealing with the Fifth Amendment. The judge in that case went on a teaching rant, and he said that the Fifth Amendment is a fighting clause. Okay, it can't be defended by an attorney or a barrister. It can only be defended by a belligerent claimant. Not only that, the judge said, if the defendant is persuaded by honeyed words of the judge, he loses that right. In other words, if the judge says you can't plead the Fifth and you believe him, guess what? You lose the right. If you're not willing to go to jail for contempt of court, you lose the right. It is a fighting clause. It's your rights can only be protected and defended by you, but you first got to know what they are and how to defend them.
I believe I've seen the case of which you speak.
You probably have. These judges are really not bad people. The problem is you just don't like their decisions because why? You don't understand why they made them. All you can see is I've been done wrong. I mean, when the judge in that family court case told me he wouldn't accept no more pro se filings, I was angry. I have the right to file whatever I said. But then I discovered a case called United States versus Doherty. And guess what? He don't have to accept pro se filings. They don't exactly spell it out, but the reason why is a pro se is basically a temporary bar member. You just don't hold the card.
And I refuse the designation of pro se.
I won't use a pro se. I will freaking ask the judge, didn't your mother tell you not to call people names?
It's exact. I deny the status every time. I am non-assumptive. I choose my own status.
Non-assumptive is not a status. It's either pro se, pro per, sui juris, or impropriety persona.
Primarily, I've done sui juris, yes, but non-assumptive. I thought meant that it is up to me. It is not up to their assumptions of what I am.
No, you need to go look up the word. You ever seen the initials NA written on something? In other words, not applicable?
Yes, sir.
Non-assumptive is what it means. In other words, I don't accept that contract. Okay? But saying that my status is non-assumptive, that is not a status.
I've always said I was sui juris, but
Well, you haven't proven yourself to be sui juris yet. You haven't even reached age of majority in the eyes of the court yet. You're still an infant to the
it's
court.
semantics. It's semantics. That's the only thing. Because I know I get the entire. I understand. I do comprehend the ultimate goal to all of this. I know what needs to be done. It's semantics.
If you knew what
I told
done,
you the first thing that I ever did in the case is said that I am not Richard Bush. I put forward my certificate and said that is the entity of which you speak. It is not me, and I offer this bill
yeah,
bill
but
of
that's
exchange.
you. But that's you did it in the wrong case at the wrong time. Why?
Because it's
Because
private.
you had her telling the court you are. And who's going to contest that? She was with you. You were poking that. You had kids with that. Going into court with the birth certificate saying, I'm not that. All you're doing is making yourself look crazy.
Another fraud angle. Like, what about her disclosing my social security card without my consent? And what about them using probably my forged signature and my social security card on the bonds? Is that not fraud? I mean, what is fraud?
You did all of this stuff because people told you to. And again, I keep telling you, it's the wrong case for that. You are against her, and you're trying to mix paperwork that don't apply to this case. You don't understand the difference between public and private. The government will not interfere with private rights. You have private rights, she has private rights, and you're mixing public stuff in a private rights case.
You know, every officer of the court has a financial interest in every custody or family case. Correct?
And so
Or am I
what?
wrong?
And so what? Every one of these arguments you keep bringing up are the wrong arguments.
So
yeah, they have a financial interest in every case. So what? You are not fighting them, you are fighting her. And you are fighting over the fact of what is the best interest for the children. But we've been telling you this, you're not trying to hear it.
The court, there's been a Supreme Court case that said that child support especially is not even about the best interests of the child. It is about the interest of the state and them not incurring a loss. And hence, but I know you
I would like to see that case. But that's not the point we're getting at. We're not talking about child support. Now you're changing the argument to child support instead of dealing with the custody issue. Everything you've been filing in the court is about the fact that she got your kids. And you've been trying to use different methods that don't apply in this case.
I just have a hard time seeing how they are not valid.
Because you don't understand the difference between public and private.
I just
If
have
if it was a CPS agency that started the case against you alone, not her, then you could probably do those things because it's an admiralty jurisdiction case because it's against the agency. They are not the ones that started the case. She is. That is a private contract between two parties, you and her.
You're not the first one that's told me that. I've
Then
been
why ain't you
advised
listening?
because I know, like, what, I don't know.
You think you know when you don't, and you've only been at this almost 6 months, and you don't know.
What? No. I know that she's not willing to even negotiate or.
You
nothing.
can't make her. She has a private right.
I do too.
Yes, you do, but you can't make someone contract. Article 1, Section 10, the contract clause. You can't make her contract with you.
I'm not saying I can't. But she.
Yes, you are. You keep saying she won't negotiate like she is supposed to.
I'm gonna hold my tongue. I don't seem to be able to say anything right.
It's because you're not ready. I've told you to go read the United States Constitution with analysis, and I've been telling you that for almost a month. I told you to study your state constitution because why? Those are the two main things you need to learn. Not only that, tonight no, you haven't read a 2,800-page book yet.
No, but I know I know the Bill of Rights, and I know I was not afforded a trial by my peers to determine whether or not justice has been served. But
you are selectively reading and not reading with the intent to understand. You are looking for things that you hope will fix your problem without the intent to understand the mechanism.
Semantics. Right.
It's not semantics. The principles of law are few and never changing. You're not even trying to learn the principles. You're thinking if I do a method or a process, it will fix it, and it won't.
I've only ever from the start ever tried to go by the truth and facts, which we all know no truth or fact shall be tried in court. So.
No, I don't know who told you that. You have rules of procedure that give you the principles on how to establish a fact. You don't even know how to establish a fact. You made allegations that she committed perjury. I freaking destroyed that because why? Just because you don't like what she said, it's not perjury.
Okay.
If this is what she believed, and you say no, That's not what I was doing. It's a he said, she said. It's not perjury.
And that ties into okay, you say I've burned my chance at appeal by waiting too long, but I still I have the right to bring my own case and my own claims, and
Yes, you do. But
that's
guess what?
more than I wasn't really going to go for an appeal. I'm going to make my own claims.
But you
Now
don't even
I'm
know
done with
how.
defense.
Look, you're right. You have the right to bring your own claims. But guess what? You don't even know how to build the case according to the rules
Pastor,
to be
I
able to
sent you my
prove your
notebook.
case.
Pastor, I sent you my notebook of how I've analyzed my case, and went over the rules of evidence and civil procedure, and clearly have identified the defects. And I am working on putting it all together.
You know,
And
I
will soon be making my claims. I will
listen.
soon be making.
Let me tell you about my making claims. Okay, this was 3 years of study. I went to a motel for a week, and I sit for 5 straight days out of 7 studying. And the last 2 days started writing. I wrote 146 of 156 page brief. And then I said, okay, time to go back to work. That was 7 days. I went back to work. I took a month off. I didn't research, didn't study, didn't do nothing. I took a break. After 30 days, I said, okay, I'm going to reread the brief and fix any errors, add anything I needed to add, and it was 156 pages with 26 defendants. And I actually, when I got done, I sent it to a few people that are knowledgeable of law, some that were in the legal industry. They said it was one of the most beautiful federal court briefs they'd ever seen. And I thought, just like you, did I go to federal court? Did I ever get to trial? No. You know why? Because I didn't know at the time I wrote it that I didn't know what I needed to know to get past the dismissal stage. So 13 months later, guess what? It was dismissed. You're sitting here saying, I know what to do. I'm sitting here telling you, no, you don't, and you don't want to hear it. And I'm probably not the only one that's telling you that. You're not ready, but you don't want to do the things you need to do to get ready. Because you have fought me this whole night saying, I did this, I did that, I told you to read this. Oh, I did. No, you didn't. You went and read the Bill of Rights on a website that just gives you the basic breakdown of the Bill of Rights. You did not go download that book I told you to go download, and you have not read it. So you don't even know how those rights apply. Because if you did, you would be telling me Guess what I learned today? Guess what I learned recently? Because guess what I do every time I learn something? I go take it to the people I trust that know what they're doing, and I run it by them, and I say, now give me your input. And they tell me whether they agree or disagree. They go look at everything. And if they agree, it gets adopted. And what do? Then I turn around and bring it to you. Because why? I'm trying to teach you.
I'm trying to be a good pupil.
You're not trying hard enough. And yes, I'm going to give you a hard time because why? I've been where you at. You are going to suffer only as long as you continue to hold on to what you're holding on to. And I'm probably, honestly, just about the only person that cares enough to talk to you the way I do and have the patience to talk to you the way I do because I've been there. I understand.
I'm going to stop testing your patience.
You need to take the time to let the anger go, forgive those that trespassed against you, okay? And find that peace in your heart so you can start preparing to be able to be competent to stand when the time comes. Yes, this country is getting ready to go down a very dark time. Could it be in the next year? Could it be in the next 10? Don't know. But right now, you got to prepare. Because why? You're fighting for your kids. But if you don't start listening and let all those emotions go, you're never going to win this. And I'm not trying to discourage you. I'm telling you, it took me 7 years because for honestly, about 4 or 5 of those years, I was a lot like you. And in not actually using the words, I told that family court judge, fuck you, I ain't coming back. Did I say it like that? No. Was my intent like that? Absolutely. Did I go back? No, not a once. But I was fighting a state agency. I wasn't fighting my wife. There's a difference. It's no different than if me and you have a problem and I take you to court to sue you. Who are you fighting against? The state or me?
You.
Then why would you think all of those other processes would apply when it's the state is not the issue, it's me? We have the problem. It ain't the state.
They do. Do they not make financial?
It doesn't matter.
Is it not done by fraud as well?
No,
I know you hate that word, but like,
no, it's not done by fraud. But you can't see that.
even though
I used to say the same things. Tell me where the fraud is at.
are anybody using our
he who makes the claim has the burden of proof. Tell me where the fraud is and who committed it.
Whoever uses our
Requires
social security number
intent.
on bonds that we didn't give our consent for.
It's
Is
not
that
fraud.
not
You
fraud?
gave them consent.
I did not give them my social security number.
It's not your social.
It's not your property.
Exactly. I get that point too, but
No,
Then
if
it's
you
not
get the-
fraud.
If you get the point, it's not fraud. And my friend, they've been doing it since Jesus was here.
okay.
I got news for you.
Okay.
They've been doing it since Jesus was here. They did
The money changers.
My
Okay.
friend, you've got to
I-
understand. Keep listening to him. Don't talk. Just sit there and listen, please. And don't forget about the
I'm
book of
gonna-
Job and Sun Tzu.
I'm gonna rip my tongue off. Rip it out.
You know what? Whatever you got to do, because right now that little boy inside of you is screaming. Every one of us can hear it. You can't hear it right now because it's your emotion, but that little boy that's hurt inside of you, that's never been healed, is the one that's lashing out right now. You need to really just stop yourself. Just listen to the pastor. Just listen. Slow down.
I've actually think I've like at least my tone of voice as I've tried to come off as where like before I was way more heated like earlier, but
Look, even your tone of voice, I haven't really heard your tone of voice change. Your voice is always deep. Your voice stays pretty much even keel. The problem that I have and what everybody hears is your mouth betrays you. Your tongue betrays you. Because why? You're double-minded.
I'm getting the duct tape right now.
Duct tape ain't the answer right now. You said fraud. I told you to prove it. You didn't like the response.
I know. I guess I have the wrong. I've got the misconception, and I do legitimately get y'all's point. No, I will never bring that point up again. But is it not able to set off those said bonds by
Not
placing
in a right, but those bonds have nothing to do with this case.
Okay. I will not bring that issue. I swear to God, I won't bring it up.
This is a private matter case. Your adversary is her, not the state. The guy in the black robe is only there as a judge to settle the matter between you and her.
Yes, sir.
And
Now,
if I'm not mistaken, Pastor, what he could set up, which is what I'm hoping to get some help with myself, is he could later set up in a different court or a different court case his constitutional protections that were violated because of things that he may still have from the underlying case. So
yeah, well, right now, he's got to take the time, one, to study the correct law, the rules of civil procedure, the rules of evidence, and learn about the court rules for that court, and start studying stuff like that. Because why? He has to build a case against her. If he's trying to go for custody, he's got to build his own case. And it takes time to build a case. It takes time to do an investigation and build evidence, and learning how to build that evidence and what you have to do. It takes a long time.
I will be getting your opinion on my case, on my claim that I create. in the near future, because I actually have studied the rules of evidence in civil procedure, and I have come up with very valid points that I will put
Okay,
into.
you make your claims, but what evidence do you have to support them?
Their words and actions.
That's could be hearsay.
I actually need to listen to the USB of the oral record of the proceedings thus far, because just to validate that it has not been edited, because I know what they have uttered and what I mean. I'm gonna work on building that. That's what my focus has been on. I've been slacking here recently, but by golly, I will be getting your opinion on my documents that I create.
Now, the reason why
pretty
I
soon.
brought up the 156 page brief is because I said the same thing when I said I'm going to make my claims. But I learned something after that. By the time that process was over, I actually saw some interesting stuff. But one of the things I learned goes back to the affidavit. He who makes the claim has the burden of proof. If you write your affidavit and you don't have evidence to support each of the facts or each of the claims, all you're doing is making mere statements. And those mere statements will get dismissed.
Just like if that were true, I wouldn't even be in the position that I am right now. Because you should see her initial petition and affidavit and what it says. And
the difference is,
if that were the case,
hold on. The difference is what did they do? They gave her an attorney, or she got an attorney, right? The attorney filed an affirmation upon information or belief on her behalf. That might be the term used, might not be, don't know. And everything he did is everything he said in that affirmation that he filed on her behalf was hearsay. Guess what? You accepted it.
You remember me bringing up the fact that her affidavit was done under oath, but it was not done under the penalty of perjury as required. That's
an affirmation. Look, she didn't have to. I mean, the attorney didn't have to do it under penalty of perjury. Read Trinzi versus Pagliaro. The attorney did it on her behalf. It's all hearsay. She told him, I'm assuming the attorney was a him. The attorney filed papers based on hearsay. In other words, what she said to the attorney then takes those spoken words, puts them down in an affirmation, not an affidavit. But you never objected to the hearsay of the attorney. So every time the attorney spoke, it was from the standpoint of hearsay. And you kept allowing it into the case. So guess what happened? It became fact of the case.
I really need to get you a copy of that record.
She had an attorney, did she not?
I did object to the hearsay, and I give you my God's honest word that I did.
Okay, you did eventually, but you didn't at the beginning. The only thing that got you in to this legal community studying with all these different gurus and teachers out there is because your ass was getting handed to you by that court. And you started going online looking up what to do, and you run across everybody and their brother. You didn't object from the beginning.
I didn't listen to. I don't listen to. I listen to the guys that you listen to, Pastor. Like
I know. Okay, you do now. Yes, I get that.
I don't listen to everybody.
But 5 months ago, you probably did.
I admitted to that. Like David Strait is the first one that brought my attention to this, but I no longer listen to him. I no longer listen to him. I never even believed. I never truly believed in his paperwork. He had no substance. He had no substance.
Yes, but that's fine. Okay, it's fine that you've kind of grown a little bit. But the very first time you should have objected and you didn't is when the attorney filed the brief in court. It was all hearsay. Because why? She didn't file it. The attorney did.
Take the first right.
See, knowing what I know now, if I did that same 156-page brief, it'd be a whole different ball game. It wouldn't get dismissed. Because why? I know how to handle attorneys. I've stood toe-to-toe with a DA, helping another truck driver on his case as his attorney in fact. And you better know what you're doing if you do that, because if not, they will put you in jail just to shut you up.
I know that administrator has broken the judicial canon of coercion and threatening with that. They're not supposed to do that. They have no. They have no right to do that.
It doesn't matter.
Because do we not have the right to be belligerent? Like it's a death sentence, right? And I have every right to be belligerent.
No, you don't have the right to be dishonorable. A belligerent claimant doesn't mean you're a combatant. He may yell at you. He may throw papers at you. But all of that is psychological to get you to knock you off your square, to get you to become emotional. Because the moment he can get you to become emotional...
Because it's a death sentence.
No. The moment he can get you to become emotional, then you are basically deemed insane. You're not remaining in honor. And see, right now, all you're stuck on is emotions.
It's a righteous anger.
No, you see it that way because you're hurting. You've never dealt with your problems. Until you do, you're not going to go anywhere. Look, Tim W. told you, go read the book of Job and read it numerous times. He even gave you some advice. Go get the audio file and play it while you read it. He even said, get the Sun Tzu, Art of War. Do the same thing. Dee told you tonight. She said, this is where you're at. I've been telling you, this is where you're at. You keep trying to come back and say you're in the right, and you're not even dealing with your in the wrongs.
And I know I have to. I've been trying to get over the emotion. I think I've been doing a pretty good job. And I tried to agree with my adversary quickly. I tried to give unto Caesar what was Caesar's.
Caesar has nothing to do with this. She's not Caesar.
I get that point now, but I did try to agree to, even with her, like the demands that she initially wanted. She could have had me cave. She wants me to give up this process, even along with other vices that she did not like. But that's one thing that I know I'm not wrong about this process, and I know my conviction about it is not something I'm going to cave in for her. Like
I'm not.
I'm not.
Look,
She thinks this is crazy that this isn't real, or I'm just like being faked or just like duped or something, you know. Like,
yes,
but I know the legitimacy of this whole
May I?
yeah, go
thing.
ahead.
Have you ever been homeless, living in the back of your car in the middle of the winter for almost 2 months? Oh,
No, I've always
let me ask
like
you a different question.
made it a point not to be that,
Just say yes
but
or no.
I could almost. It's close to that point, maybe. Who knows? But
He said just say yes or no. You don't have to go into an
okay,
explanation.
no, I haven't.
Have you ever sat in a desert with ripped clothes and shaved head for 3 years while friends tried to come up to you and give you advice, and then the devil tempted you, and then finally God came and got your attention and got you off your ass? Have you ever done that?
That sounds like an escape. Like sometimes like
That's the book of
I feel
Job,
like
son.
that's what.
Son, that's the book of Job, and if you don't listen to what you've heard already, then we can't help you, because
Yeah,
I just gave you the blueprint, son. Goodbye.
yeah, you gave the blueprints on the book of Job. We keep trying. You've had 3 people come to you tonight: D, me, and Tim. Guess how many people came to Job? 3. Did Job try to hear? No. Are you trying to hear? No. You say you are, but your mouth keeps betraying you.
Like the first Sunday
There's
they gave the
going.
orders.
So guess
Like
what? Sooner
no,
or
I
later,
was just
God's
saying
going to
that.
come to you, and you are going to have to shut up and listen. Because when He speaks, you are going to listen.
I was just trying to tie it into like the second appearance that I've made at the end of it.
You're
Whenever
going
they first said,
right back
no,
to the case,
no,
to the past.
Can
Pastor,
I help
Pastor.
here too? Because if you listen to Law of Boris, which I know the pastor does as well, the God that you're going to face is a judge. I yield.
Yeah. He's got the final judge. He does have the final say, and he knows the truth. But the fact that you talking about like going out into the desert for 3 years, like the first time that I heard like they are trying to keep him away from you till the age of 18, like, and since I will not be able to cope with seeing another man raising my children, if I cannot win this, I am just gonna disappear. Like I'm gonna go out into the middle of nowhere in the freaking mountains somewhere. I'm gonna leave Texas, which I said I never would. I'm just gonna disappear. Like even
And do you know
friends,
why?
I don't have friends, but even family, like
Do you know why you want to disappear?
I'm just gonna run away
Do you know why?
because maybe that's what's needed. Who knows?
Do you know why?
want to.
Because there is a little boy who was hurt as a very young child, probably before the age of 2, that you have not gone back and healed. You've not sat with him. You've not cried with him. You've not hurt with him. Because you've been running from him your whole life.
Well,
And there,
maybe not too. I mean, who knows? We're happy for them,
I have news for you. You're talking to somebody that spent the last 2 and almost 3 years doing that. This is not a quick process, my friend.
I grew up without a father. My dad died when I was 5.
So here now the truth is coming out, right? Pain shared is pain divided. You're sharing a lot of pain. People here are trying to divide it for you. But at some point, you have got to realize, I'm being a victim. I'm being a little boy. And I've got to heal this kid.
You know, let me tell you something, Tim. He reminds me of a drug addict. He's trying to talk about his pain, and then, like you said, we try to help him through it. And then what does now? Hold on, stop. And what does he turn around and do? We try to help him through it, and what does he do? He goes right back to it.
Blame shifting, blame.
He goes right back to it,
Right.
because for some people, that's their comfort zone.
Correct.
They
It's
don't
called
know.
It's called a peptide addiction, because like a drug addict, and I dealt with this myself, when you ruminate when you're with a narcissist, which it sounds like he was with, when you're ruminating.
Okay, I admit y'all are more right than y'all hit the nail right on the freaking head. Y'all literally hit the nail right on the head.
And listen, it's okay to hurt, my friend, and you're going to be alone, and you need to shed some tears, okay?
Mark 14:7 or 7:14. Nothing that enters into a man's body corrupts him. It's what comes out of him that corrupts a man.
Correct. Do you remember the coach Jimmy Valvano from North Carolina State before he died? Do you remember his SP speech?
I'm not sure I'm familiar with it.
All right, so Jimmy Valvano was a basketball coach for North Carolina State, okay? Before he passed away, he got an SP for a courage award, and he gave a speech. In that speech, they played every now and then, but he made a famous comment, to paraphrase. Every single day, you need to laugh, you need to cry, you need to laugh, you need to cry, and you need to smile. And if you don't do all 3 of those things every single day, you will not have a good, fulfilling life. Can you say you do all 3 of those things every single day?
I used to brag about how I don't.
Well, let me tell you something. Crying is the cleansing of your soul. It's the Holy Spirit's way of cleansing you. And I yield.
Yeah, us men don't like crying because we think it's weakness to show emotions. But guess what? Sometimes you need to cry. Because what does it feel like afterwards? Your heart becomes lighter. Your spirit becomes lighter. See, you're still in the grieving process, basically. That's why I told you earlier, you're still in the I've been done wrong, hear my story. That's the grieving process. But you've not slowed down to actually grieve. 5 months of day in and day out studying. If you continue that path, you are going to have a nervous breakdown, and you are either going to go to prison, go to jail, go to a mental institution, or you are going to just give up. One of the 4.
I know why I am in this situation. I know why. To tell you, I told y'all hit the nail right on the head. But my vices do not define me or the quality of my character. I even said that in my
Your
case.
vices define you at the moment you are at. Because do you think everybody has vices? Oh, yes, they do. Your vices change
It
as
was
you
her opinion
grow.
about them.
Your vices change as you grow. When I was 20, I wanted to drink beer and get drunk. That was my vice. When I was 22-ish, I wanted to smoke pot. That was my vices. Today, you could say my vices is law. Your
It's
vices
becoming
will
unfair.
change as you grow into manhood. When I was a child, I acted as a child. But when I became a man, I let childish things go.
You know, he brought that, the administrator brought that verse up whenever I tried to bring up other verses, which was surprising. Which should, you know,
Which right there tells you the judge wasn't that bad. He's trying to tell you things.
which Robin and Hardaway should, you know, play into this case then, right? Because custom is law, and Christianity is custom, and Bible is, you know, custom.
Bible isn't custom. The Bible is a book of principles.
Sooner or later, my friend, you're going to realize the Bible is the court system. The book of Deuteronomy is practically the entire Constitution. And if you want to learn to live like Ephesians 6, you've got to start listening and doing everything you've heard the last few hours. I yield.
Yeah, 93% of the Constitution, Bill of Rights, and Declaration of Independence come right out, either indirect or direct quotes directly from the book of Deuteronomy.
My grandma said that too, and I know that the Bible is law. I always thought that the Ten Commandments were the law, and they were like no more than that is needed. No, I mean the Ten Commandments are perfect.
The only things you should be listening to is those books I gave you. I mean, literally on repeat. I mean, it should be played so often that you practically memorize the book of Job.
Yeah.
I think I have chapter 32 or 38 memorized where he's like, have no respect for persons. I know I've got that chapter down.
Look, I told you earlier, you need to step away from all the studying, as in the law stuff. You need to take a break. You need to clear your head. You need to relax. I would recommend, I'm in agreement with Tim, do what he's suggesting. Take 2-3 days. Shut down Telegram. Stay out of it. At least 3 days. You have got to find peace at all costs.
And you've got to forgive yourself. People have been telling me that for 2 years, and I hardly wanted to listen when I was just like you early on. You have got to forgive yourself.
I'm trying.
Until you find that peace, it's going to be an uphill battle of trying to learn what you need to do. I've talked to Popeye enough, and Popeye's, that's one of the things he talks about, is you have to come into these cases and in front of these people with a humble heart and a spirit of humility. Because why? There is a spiritual side to this realm, and you have not reached that yet. But hey, I am going to, yeah, y'all wouldn't believe it. Yeah, you probably would. But let's see here. I got up yesterday morning at got started at 9 o'clock yesterday morning. Y'all see what time it is now? Eastern time, that is. I just looked at what my mileage is. What my mileage is, I drove 1,016 miles. Holy crap. I haven't done that since my early days of trucking. Wow.
We'll get some
My
shout out,
logbook,
guys.
my logbook is definitely not pretty. It's a good thing I got COVID exemption. But hey, I am going to have to get some sleep. And I might be back on later tonight. So we'll see what happens.
Sorry to take up so much of your time, sir.
Don't apologize for taking up my time. I volunteered it. That's what I'm here for. That's why I tell people it's my ministry. Revelations 18 says, "Come out of Babylon, my people, so you don't take part in her plagues." My ministry is to help people learn how to navigate Babylon.
Yeah, I probably took too much of the floor. Other people could have been asking questions.
The first thing to forgiveness, my friend, is when people offer their time to help you for free like happened tonight. It's a gift from God. Don't ever say you're sorry. You've got to learn forgiveness is knowing that you don't need to say sorry when people invest in you because they're trying to speak God's will. What you don't realize is God was here tonight with you. He was using other people to try to talk to you. I yield. Good night, Pastor. Get rest, everyone.
Tim, have a good night and hope to see you again, Tim. And I will get that first half, the first 4-hour video.
Real quick, Pastor, I hope we can connect offline. Yeah, thank you.
We can sometime. Just add me. And maybe tomorrow during the day I'll shoot you a message if you're free.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So y'all have a wonderful night. I'm going to end this because I need some beauty rest. I'm not getting any prettier.
Sir. Talk to you later. Appreciate it.
Talk to y'all later.